I am seriously starting to get so jealous of people who watched the original Karate Kid back when it came out and had 20 years to just sit on this awesome movie franchise and got to experience Cobra Kai as the legacy sequel it's kind of made for, rather than just watching Karate Kid and immediately watching the series. Because having just finished season 3, once again, just on a one-day binge, just couldn't stop it, could not stop it. Was gonna cook dinner, was just like, I'll just cook dinner after I finish the season. Because it is just the gift that keeps on giving. And by giving, I mean lots of emotion, nostalgia, fan service, but all done exceptionally with some incredible character work, incredible, powerful, emotional scenes, and, you know, what I've come to expect, lots of children just kicking the ever-loving shit out of each other. Just so many children just punching, just so many punches and kicks. I love this show so much. After season 2's shocking end with Miguel getting his back broken, like Bane was grabbing Batman and snapping his back, he has his back broken, and the whole first half of this season is like this aftermath, this like hangover kind of just, I don't know, it's just everyone on the show just kind of was just going like, oh geez, that was actually kind of intense. Like, this was kind of a fun, campy, cheesy, silly show and, you know, competing karate dojo, you know, situations and rivalries, but it was all a bit of fun. Like, the show was mostly fun. There was some really powerful emotional stuff and bullying and all the themes and things and serious stuff, but it mostly felt fun. Whereas at the end and the start of this season, it was something like, wait, holy shit, this show just got super serious and super real all of a sudden. Like, Robbie, He's on the run. He's going to go to juvie if he gets caught. Like, Miguel's in a coma. He may never wake up. Daniel's daughter, Sam, has got PTSD and she's like, has a fight mid-season and like has shell shock and PTSD and like can't stand up and defend Dimitri. Like, it's getting super real. We get more of Tori and she's like, I gotta keep 2 jobs. I almost went to juvie, but I gotta take care of my mum. And it's just like suddenly very serious and very real. I absolutely love this shift in tone for the first half of the season. It's just this recovery, this aftermath, this just kind of like this breather of it, like first half of the season. And I found it really, really compelling. I loved all of the Robbie stuff in juvie, just kind of pushing him to the side a bit. I still think Robbie's kind of my least favorite of all the kind of main characters. So you push him to the side, let him kind of grow on his own for a little bit. You let Sam kind of deal with her and her father as she deals with her PSD. And then you have Miguel, the best character. Miguel and Johnny just kind of teaming up. Well, the best child. Johnny's easily the best character, of course. But having them both kind of rebuild him, making him learn to walk again and like fight again and train and slowly build this character back up again was just fascinating. This whole season feels so much more reflective, mature, and just kind of emotional on this kind of deeper level. Like, it's still got cheesy, campy moments. It's still a silly show about 2 competing dojo kind of karate dojos that are rivals, and, you know, there's kid rivals and there's adult rivals and all the silly fun that comes with that. But the first 2 seasons were just kind of lighter in tone. But I very much appreciate this new kind of turn for season 3. And I feel like you notice that straight away when all the teachers and all the parents and everyone's just freaking out. They're just like, that gangland war situation karate thing, that's not just a little bit of fun. That's just not a fun little Karate Kid tournament. This is like a war. This is like a gang explosion of attacking and karateing, and it's not cool. And I just love how everyone's like, yeah, actually, that's insane, and just, what the hell? We need to deal with this. Everyone's like checking security, make sure they're not bringing nunchucks or whatever the hell's going on at the start. And like, I don't know, just the way everything's shaped and changed, the way everyone's characters is kind of informed from the Miguel incident. Like, some people blame one side, some blame the other, and everyone is just kind of transformed from this Miguel incident. The highlight for me this season was probably just the Miguel-Johnny kind of team up again. And they team up and they train so we can slowly learn how to walk again. All of that stuff was like really exciting and just kind of emotional. Like, it was just so powerful and satisfying to see them kind of team up in this way. It just kind of made the show just feel so much more real. Like, the stakes are so much higher now. Like, he was almost like paralyzed. Like, it was just really, really serious, but he still had little fun bits where he's using his macho-ness to, like, you know, light fires underneath him and, you know, wave porno mags when the guy's like, but I could go on the internet. He's like, it's better on paper. Naked babes are better on paper. It's like, sure, Johnny. Sure. It's still images, but sure. If that's what you want to think, Johnny, sure. Hawk has always been one of my favorite characters. Just that moment he rocked up again with the hair just from season 1, I was just like, oh my god, I am loving this transformation. And then that kind of horrible moment where you realize he's turning into the villain. And I love at the start of the season how he's just full-fledged villain. He's just the bad guy. He's turned full bully and he seems to kind of embrace it and enjoy it. But then slowly throughout the season, you see little moments here and there, just those little glances, and you're like, anti-hero arc, give me the Hawk anti-hero arc. Cobra Kai, I beg of thee. And then they do it. Oh, I don't even like Dimitri. Although he is far less obnoxious with less cringy, awful dialogue. Season 2, I just felt like they were trying to make him too funny and just... I don't know, there was just something about him where I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way he was egging on Hawk and pushing Hawk into evil Hawk. And I'm like, no, I want Hawk to have a redemption arc. And it's never going to happen with you treating him like this, Dimitri. How dare you? Whereas at the end of this season, he has that amazing moment where he's just running and running in the big, we're doing a big one-shot-ish. Kind of a lot of different smaller one-shots this time. Did think that last battle... just going on a little bit of tangent, do you think that last battle didn't really kind of pack that same punch? Like, the end of season 2, that big fight at the school kind of blew me away. Like, kind of one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Reminded me of when I watched Kingsman and just that big church scene where it was just like, what is this? This kind of felt like in Kingsman 2 where they're like, we're doing that again. You like that again? Eat it again. And I'm like, nah, I'm full from Kingsman 1. It was enjoyable, it was epic, but if it didn't have these little moments like Hawk having an anti-hero redemption arc and saving Dimitri and having the puncher on them, having back-to-back fighting, without those little kind of moments throughout, I feel like the action wasn't as spectacular. But maybe that's just because my expectations were like here, I'm like, it's pretty good. And then after that, I'm like, I expect the greatest. And not to say all the fights weren't amazing, like a lot of them were really, really good, but they're mostly really, really great now because they're just packing such an emotional punch. Like at the end of the season, when Daniel and Johnny finally face off against John Kreese, it's just like, just seeing it all happen, I'm just like, oh, it's happening. Guys, it's happening. This show is never ceasing to amaze me when it's just like, remember that character from one of the Karate Kid movies? Well, they're back, but they're super old and wrinkly now. Do you like it? And I'm like, I love it. I love it. I'm so jealous of people who have loved these characters for 30 years. Like, I wish I had that nostalgia. It would just be so crazy. But I guess it shows, though, without any nostalgia. I watched the movie Karate Kid 2 hours before I started watching Cobra Kai. Like, I have no nostalgia for it. That's a fantastic movie. And immediately I was like, oh, I'm going to like this show. But I had no kind of deep-seated nostalgia. But every single time they bring a character back from one of the movies, it's so satisfying. It's so emotionally powerful. It works so well. How they're kind of brought in is so clever and inventive and kind of just like fun as well. Like seeing all the people from Karate Kid 2 from Okinawa was just so good. Like I'm like, it's the love interest character, she's back, and it was so nice to see her. I really liked her in that film. But then when she brings the bully of that film and he's just so angry and mad, but then he's training all these kind of, you know, the ones that makes the arms go limp or whatever, that move thing, and just all of that, the way that just built up, and he was training him to be a little bit more aggressive, and you're like, haha, I have a feeling Daniel is going to use this in the final episode. And what do you know? He uses it against John Kreese. I did think he was going to use it against Johnny, but I really liked it was against John Kreese. That was just super satisfying and classic 80s to be like, remember that thing you learned in the second act? Well, you've got to utilize it now in the third act to be the winner. It's just so 80s. This show is just so 80s. All the Okinawa stuff was really, really good. But what was so exceptional and just amazing, and it had like, he threw the phone and you saw that she did the little Facebook request. And of course it takes him like half the season to realize he has Facebook on his computer as well. But Ali comes back and it was so well handled. Like I kind of couldn't handle how perfect it was handled, the way that she's kind of on a date with Johnny, but it's not like a real date because, you know, he kind of loves Miguel's mum, so you kind of think, oh no, is it going to kind of ruin that thing with Miguel's mum? How's this going to work? But then no, they go to a dinner and we have our annual, each season there's a moment where Johnny and Daniel go to dinner together and they have a couple of drinks together and they kind of bond and they go, maybe we're not so different, you and I. Wait, no, actually I hate you. And the other one's like, actually I hate you, and actually you're the bully. And he's like, but from my point of view, you're the bully. And they do that whole thingy. But Ali's in the middle being like, actually, maybe you're both the bully, or maybe neither are the bully. But probably still more Johnny, but I don't know, maybe. And she does like a whole thing. And it's just exceptional. It was just such a perfect balance of everything. Seeing them all together was just kind of insane. Even though I have no nostalgia, it just works so well on a character level. And I think that's what's so good about them bringing back all these characters. Like having John Kreese back isn't just like, it's the villain's teacher. It's like, because they kept saying, it's not the student, it's the teacher that makes someone bad. No one's a bad student. Bad teacher though. It's not just because he's back. It's like he works so well because he is this aggressive, intense kind of persona. But it's not just that he's back. It's that he's back and they have fleshed him out. They've made him more nuanced. They've made him more scary. They've made him a character, like a full-fledged character. And he's fascinating now. Like just the way they utilize everyone is just, it's just exceptional. The Vietnamese John Kreese flashbacks throughout the whole season are so good. I love at the start where you think you see him as the jock, and you think, oh, okay, he might be the jock from the timeline, all this kind of stuff. But then you find out, actually, no, it's the guy he's picking on. It's the guy who's being bullied. He's essentially Eli transitioned into Hawk, and it just felt so intense. It's like, oh no, okay, so we're gonna have like a whole redemption arc of Kreese, or they're gonna at least paint him in a different light where we're gonna feel sympathy towards him. But then the way they paint him is like this war hero, and just the way that they make us feel like, well, in that situation in war, yeah, you've got to be like that. You had to fight like that. Like that was just, it was literally kill or be killed and all these kind of intense things. But then building up to that scene where there's a big karate kind of thing and they've got to fight and the loser falls into a pit of snakes, and we get a Cobra Kai name origin story mixed up in all of this. But we see this transition from this person who has a type of honor and a type of vicious, no mercy kind of mentality, but then it slowly twists, and then right at the end, you see how his honor kind of gets shifted into a certain mold, and how that no mercy thing transforms into something kind of otherworldly, and something where you can't imagine that. None of the other characters can. They haven't been in such a horrible, horrific, real war situation. And I just found that exceptional. It's so cool because he's clearly the villain of the show now. Johnny isn't gonna fall back into the Cobra Kai thing. Like he starts his own thing, Eagle Fangs. Insane! Eagle Fang Karate. I love it so much. That moment where one of them just like, eagles don't even have fangs. He's like, shut up! Quiet! Just, so good. It's so much fun. But they're gonna, that and Mr. Miyagi Dojo, they're gonna team up and they're gonna become one ultimate, thing or whatever, and they're going to face Cobra Kai. When that all kind of suddenly kind of became fully realized, and even Hawk is back, he's had the redemption arc, everything's good, and you're kind of like, but who's on Cobra Kai's side? Like, John Kreese is the big bad, but who's the kids fighting? Yes, we've got Tori, but we kind of need like a mainstay, like an OG season 1 character, like who's going to be that guy? And then suddenly as I'm like thinking about all these things, and I'm going, well, John Kreese, he's almost good enough for all the adults, and it's all good. But who's the kid? Who's going to be like, the poster boy? Because I always thought Hawk would be the Cobra Kai poster boy. Like, he's the main guy. We've got Miguel. We've got Sam. Who's that guy that we pushed away for the whole season and we almost forgot about him because he's in prison doing his own thing? And he's kind of the weak link of the show. Robbie, that's right. The guy who just hates his dad so much he's going to team up with the evil character, the clearly evil character, and he's going to team up with him. And he even hates Daniel now. And it just feels slightly contrived. It feels slightly kind of forced. I feel like I've never really liked Robbie as a character. I feel like just because we focused on Johnny. He's drinking. He's not got his life together. Clearly he's ruined 16 years of like him and his son's relationship. And I understand that. Every time he tries to reach out and be with his son, Robbie's just like, I don't like you, Dad. I don't like you, Dad. I'm not even going to give you a second chance. And he just infuriates me. Like, I just feel like it's so frustrating and annoying. And now I'm understanding, okay, because we're slowly building up to that point where he's going to be on Team Cobra Kai with the enemy, John Kreese. And in my head, like in theory, on paper, that's amazing. That works so well. But I find myself not going like, no. I'm finding myself going, oh, really? Okay, all right. And I wonder if I'm alone in that, if everyone kind of thinks the same with Robbie. And I found the same with season 2. I felt like maybe I didn't word it properly in my review, but it's kind of just like really annoying the way that he would just kind of be like, oh, Daniel, my dad's arch rival, I'm going to kind of team up with him. And at first it was petty and it was to get back his dad. But then the more it happened, him and Daniel, I started finding them really annoying and kind of unlikable in season 2 because it just felt really malicious in this horrible way. Just kind of like, you don't know Johnny at all, and you're not giving him that chance, not even that second to kind of explain himself and show that he's trying again. But I guess 16 years is a very long time, but we just don't see any of that on screen, so it's kind of less tangible rather than all the stuff we see Johnny trying to do. And we see how good he's doing with Miguel, so all I just keep thinking is, imagine if you had Miguel and his son, surrogate son and son, they could team up and be brothers! It would be so nice and beautiful! But no, Robbie's just an absolute prick all the time, and he's just like very, I don't know. So I just find all of that a bit annoying with Robbie. So I'm kind of excited to see him as the villain. Maybe I'm going to find that quite enjoyable, but I do find it a little bit contrived and just a bit kind of like, and all the pieces of the puzzle seem so perfectly fit. The way everyone kind of fights and teams up and gets angry at each other and pushes them away and everything, and then like it comes together at the end. Robbie's feels like, oh, and let's grab that piece from prison in Cobra Kai. Because on the other hand, we have Tori as the other villain, and I think she's been handled really, really well. Like, I really like that line where Miguel's like, well, you don't know Tori's backstory, you don't know her whole history, her mum's really sick and all this stuff. And Sam's like, everybody's got a sob story, everyone's got a sob story, but that doesn't give you the right to be a bully. And that's like the tagline of the show, essentially. But what I think about Tori is really interesting, and like the parallel between her and Sam, because they're kind of arch nemesises, is that Sam says that, but Sam has the perfect life. She has the perfect, rich, expensive house, family and parents that love each other, a brother, but I mean, he's just that annoying classic little brother. There's nothing malicious or evil about him. He's not off doing drugs or killing people or anything like that. It's all just like a perfect little life. And she's going to school and everything's okay and pretty good. Whereas Tori's mum is so sick, she has to have 2 jobs. She's like in high school with 2 jobs, like in the same day. Like, that's madness. That's really intense life. So I think Sam judging her so quickly and Tori kind of getting that from all angles all the time and having a bit of an aggressive streak, she kind of falls into the Cobra Kai thing, which is all the chess pieces falling into place. I understand and sympathize with her, even though I'm kind of like, but she wrong. She wrong. But a sympathetic villain. Just the same as John Kreese. With all the things we see in the Vietnam flashbacks, it's all kind of like crafts him into this character where I buy him and I understand him, but it's also like, yeah, but you're still bad. Also, that end bit where, like, you got the guy and you're like, he's the guy, his friend from Vietnam, from the third movie, the guy. And he's like, I'll do anything for you. Johnny, I'll do anything for you. If you need to call me when you're 65 to 75 doing some kind of Cobra Kai season 4 where you need another old man in the Cobra Kai because now there's 2 old men fighting just the one old man, you, call me. And he's like, I will. Very excited for that. Really enjoyed that character in Karate Kid 3. Just, I don't know, evil Mr. Miyagi trainer, the way he was training Daniel there. And I just found that really exciting and funny. And he was just over the top, and I don't know, this evil stare in his eyes was just kind of mannequin insane and very 80s. So I'm very excited to see him come into season 4. Very excited. That moment when John Kreese goes and kind of does his evil collecting scheme where he's like, I'm going to get all the fittest, coolest, badass bully guys, and the OG bully from the first half of season 1 rocks up, and I'm just like, oh my god, I completely forgot about this guy. Like, he completely drops off the radar after Miguel just beats the shit out of him. To have him come back, come into Cobra Kai, and that's that first moment of Hawk's like, maybe I'm going to be an anti-hero kind of little glance, and that just sudden realization that, oh, Cobra Kai is full going to go evil, and having that bully come back was just a perfect kind of, I don't know, full circle situation. I just absolutely love that. Just horrifying, but just, yeah, that guy's good at being a bully that I hate. No Aisha this season, which is kind of bizarre. She's just like, isn't there. But I guess that's just one of those, that Miguel thing was a whole big thing. Like, one of the main characters got shipped away because she's a child and she can be shipped away by her parents. Like, ugh! No Stingray this season, so that was pretty disappointing. It was a highlight of season 2. But apart from that, I really feel like I can't flaw this season. It was so much fun. It was so exciting. I really liked the change of tone in the first half with that just kind of rebuilding, that reshaping, that kind of just, oh geez, that was serious. Now let's get more serious. And then just lots of karate punching, lots of great emotional moments, lots of great nostalgia, fan surfacey kind of legacy sequel, just goodness all over the place. Realistically, this show is just kind of wowing me on every level, and I'm just finding it so satisfying and so awesome. Like, just every single episode, Johnny will do something, and I'm just like, I love him so much. He's such a good character. He's so well written. He's so well performed. And this season, more so than any other, I'm really enjoying Daniel. I think Daniel going to Okinawa was brilliant. It was breathtaking. It was just really emotional. That letter reading moment where he's reading all of Mr. Miyagi's letters, that was really powerful. And I felt like I was finally like at a point where I'm like, I love this character too. And I just think it's because we see it from Johnny's perspective, and Johnny's always like, oh, I don't know, Daniel kind of sucks from my point of view. I'm like, yeah, screw the Karate Kid. He was great in the movies, but now he's a boring old dad with, you know, everything he ever wanted. Like, I don't like him as much. Not as compelling or interesting. Whereas now, I'm finally at a place where I really, really, really love him as a character as well. Not as much as Johnny, but I really did appreciate that now he's kind of as likable, and I feel like we've come so far with him. He has that sit down with Miguel, and he's like, hey, yeah, he said it like this, he said it like that, but that's his point of view. Here's my point of view. Like, oh yeah, I did that one thing at Halloween, but he beat me up every single day before that. Did he miss that bit out? And I'm like, man, I just watched that movie and I'd already forgotten, because when he's telling it from his point of view, I'm on his side. Because I'm just on his side. That's the way we've been positioned in the show. So I really liked having that moment where Daniel's like, actually, he was a prick. Maybe he's not a prick now, but he was. And I just found that a really beautiful moment and maybe one of the highlights of the whole season. Just really, really good. But finally, we've gotten to that point where they've had a bit of a rivalry sparring for the whole show, but now they've bowed as equals and we're going to see them team up. They punched for a bit, but now they're mates. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what everyone thought of Cobra Kai Season 3.